Right now, a single commercial rocket launch complex costs $1.5 billion to build, yet a zero point 0.5 second scrubbed launch window burns $300,000 in super chilled cryogenic propellant, and a single pad explosion can vaporize $200 million in hardware in 3 seconds. Welcome to the high stakes financial trap of running a private commercial spaceport. Most viewers assume launching rockets is all about aerospace engineering and satellite technology. In reality, a spaceport is a high-hazard real estate bottleneck with extreme capital risks. If the launch pad stays empty, fixed overhead burns through $4 million every month. Consider Spaceport America, built with $225 million in New Mexico state taxpayer funds. Despite hosting major aerospace tenants, its $9 million annual revenue requires state subsidies to survive. If the launch pad explodes, insurance claims take over a year to process. To understand how spaceports operate, we must examine the physical infrastructure. An orbital launch facility requires 5 distinct high-cost engineering components. First is the flame trench and refractory concrete exhaust deflector system. During engine ignition, rocket exhaust reaches temperatures exceeding 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Standard concrete crumbles instantly under this thermal and kinetic pressure. Operators line the trench with heat-resistant refractory ceramic bricks and tungsten steel plates. This single trench structure costs between $150 million and $250 million to excavate. Second is the acoustic sound suppression water deluge system. When 30 engines ignite, the sound wave exceeds 200 decibels. Unchecked sound waves rebound off the concrete and shatter the satellite payload. To suppress this shock wave, massive pumps blast 300,000 gallons of water per minute. This water curtain absorbs kinetic sound energy in less than 30 seconds. Third is the cryogenic propellant storage tank farm. Super heavy rockets consume over 10 million pounds of liquid oxygen and methane per launch. Liquid oxygen must be stored at minus 297 degrees Fahrenheit under pressure. These vacuum-insulated stainless steel tanks cost over $200 million to install. Fourth is the blast-hardened subterranean launch control bunker. Equipped with 14 CFR, Part 450 range safety, destruct consoles, and fiber optics. Fifth is the ISO Class 8 cleanroom payload integration facility. Here, technicians encapsulate multi-$100 million satellites into protective fairings. Together, these 5 components push initial capital expenditure above $1.5 billion. Now, let us examine how a commercial spaceport generates actual cash flow. A spaceport does not build rockets. It operates as an orbital toll booth. The primary revenue stream is the direct pad utilization and launch slot fee. Satellite launch companies pay between $1.2 million and $2.5 million per launch slot. For a spaceport hosting 30 launches per year, pad fees generate $52 million. The second major revenue driver is the cryogenic propellant delivery markup. Spaceports buy industrial liquid oxygen and methane at wholesale bulk rates. They mark up the fuel delivery by 25% during rocket tanking operations. Across 30 launches, fuel markups generate an additional $18 million in high-margin profit. The third stream is payload integration and cleanroom technical services. Spaceport technicians charge $500,000 per satellite for cleanroom encapsulation and testing. This adds another $15 million in annual service revenue to the bottom line. The fourth stream is range safety telemetry and orbital tracking data sales. Radar stations and optical tracking cameras record real-time flight telemetry data. Spaceports license this telemetry data to government space forces and insurance underwriters. This data monetization generates $7.5 million per year in recurring revenue. Finally, federal and state governments provide $25 million in annual infrastructure subsidies. Governments fund spaceports to secure strategic national launch capabilities and high-tech jobs. In total, a fully operational spaceport generates $118 million in gross annual revenue. Against $45 million in operating expenses, net operating margins exceed 60%. However, this lucrative business model hides 4 fatal economic bottlenecks. The first bottleneck is the staggering cost of cryogenic boil-off losses. Liquid oxygen and liquid methane cannot remain liquid without active chilling. Inside storage tanks, heat leakage causes propellants to continuously boil into gas. If a launch is delayed by weather, thousands of gallons vent into the atmosphere. A single scrubbed launch window wastes up to $300,000 in boiled-away propellant. If weather scrubs 3 consecutive attempts, fuel losses wipe out the pad fee. The second bottleneck is the catastrophic launch pad anomaly wipeout. On September 1st, 2016, a static fire explosion at SpaceX's SLC-40 pad proved this risk. The explosion destroyed the Falcon 9 and the $200 million Amos 6 satellite. Rebuilding Space Launch Complex 40 from scratch cost $50 million. The pad rebuild took 15 months, freezing launch revenue while fixed overhead continued. Without massive cash reserves, a single pad explosion causes total corporate bankruptcy. The third bottleneck is the regulatory FAA 14 CFR, Part 450 licensing nightmare. Before any rocket lifts off, the operator must obtain an FAA launch site operator license. This requires an environmental impact statement under NEPA, taking 18 to 24 months. The applicant pays hundreds of thousands of dollars for FAA-selected environmental consultants. The spaceport must also clear thousands of square miles of ocean airspace, coordinating with the Coast Guard. To evacuate shipping lanes takes months of planning. If a single fishing vessel enters the exclusion zone, range safety scrubs the launch. The fourth bottleneck is commercial flight corridor airspace conflict. Busy spaceports located near commercial air routes face fierce airline opposition. A rocket launch forces the FAA to close major commercial flight corridors for hours. Airlines lose millions in diverted jet fuel and demand strict launch caps. To bypass these bottlenecks, modern spaceports are upgrading their business models. Operators are building automated rapid turnaround launch pads with dual flame trenches. Dual trenches allow one pad to launch while the adjacent trench undergoes maintenance. By reducing pad turnaround time from 14 days to 48 hours, throughput triples. They are also installing active reliquefaction plants to capture vented boil-off gas. Recycling boiled-off methane saves spaceports up to $5 million annually in wasted fuel. Furthermore, spaceports are expanding into point-to-point Earth cargo transport. Using heavy-lift rockets, cargo can travel from Texas to Asia in 45 minutes. Defense logistics agencies are already signing multi-billion-dollar military transport contracts. Commercial spaceports that control equatorial coastal sites hold an unbreakable monopoly. As the global space economy expands toward $1 trillion by 2030, launch demand will skyrocket. The companies controlling the physical launch pads will extract tolls on every satellite. Running a spaceport is a high-risk gamble against gravity, weather, and explosive chemistry. But for those who master the infrastructure, the financial returns are truly astronomical. Right now, private equity firms are pouring billions into securing coastal spaceport sites. The race to own the gateway to the stars has officially begun. Every satellite, space station module, and lunar lander must pass through these pads. The spaceport operator holds the master key to the commercial frontier. Without the pad, the multi-billion-dollar rocket is just expensive scrap metal. That is why satellite mega-constellations are locking in 10-year launch pad leases. They cannot afford to be locked out of the orbital pipeline. As launch cadence increases, pad utilization rates are reaching record highs. Spaceports are shifting from single-tenant facilities to multi-user commercial hubs. This diversification protects operators if a single rocket manufacturer goes bankrupt. If one rocket provider fails, another instantly fills the open launch slot. Meanwhile, automation is reducing ground crew headcount from hundreds to dozens. Robotic quick disconnect umbilicals handle hazardous fueling without human intervention. Autonomous camera arrays inspect the pad for thermal damage in seconds after liftoff. These technological advances are driving operating costs down by 40%. The spaceport of tomorrow will operate with the efficiency of an automated container port. Rockets will land, refuel, integrate payloads, and launch within 24 hours. This rapid cadence turns capital-intensive pads into cash-generating engines. Investors who understand this dynamic are capturing immense long-term value. The economic moat surrounding a licensed coastal spaceport is virtually insurmountable. Environmental regulations make building new coastal launch sites almost impossible. Existing licensed spaceports enjoy a permanent geographic and regulatory monopoly. As launch costs fall, global demand for orbital access will grow exponentially. Every mega-constellation requires constant replenishment of decaying satellites. This creates a perpetual stream of high-margin launch pad utilization fees. The spaceport business model has evolved from a risky gamble into a utility asset. Like toll bridges and container terminals, launch pads collect fees regardless of market swings. The future of off-world commerce relies entirely on these concrete structures. The operators who control the flame trenches hold the keys to the orbital economy. Understanding this economic engine reveals why spaceport valuations are surging worldwide. It is not about the drama of the countdown, it is about controlling the bottleneck. The countdown is just the visual show. The pad contract is where wealth is made, and as long as humanity reaches for the stars, every journey begins on a spaceport floor. Now you know the hidden financial reality behind running a commercial spaceport. From refractory concrete flame trenches to cryogenic boil-off economics, the math is brutal. Only those with deep capital reserves and flawless range safety survive the crucible. The next time you watch a rocket lift off into the night sky, remember the pad beneath it. Behind that blinding flame lies a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure machine, a machine designed to capture wealth at the exact boundary where Earth ends and space begins. That is the true business of running a private commercial spaceport.